Okay, let's stop right there for a second. The most common concern I hear among people who want to learn to play drums is that they're not coordinated enough. Now, unfortunately, drums have the reputation of being this very involved and complicated endeavor, but that's not really the case when you break it down to the basics. In fact, if we look at it in a different way, the coordination is actually something that you don't even need a drum set to learn. So here we go. I'm Alex Eckhoff, and these are the basics of playing drums. Let's start off with something super simple, counting to 4. This is something that just about everybody's been doing since they were a little kid. This makes it a great place to begin, but we're going to look at it a little bit differently. We're going to be counting to 4 on this. This is called a staff. The staff is what we write music on. It's made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. And the notes that are written on the staff are going to tell us the rhythm, or when to play. And we read rhythm just like we read English, left to right. And just how English is divided into sentences, music is going to be divided into something called measures. More on that in a second. So let's take a look at our first note. It's called the quarter note, and it looks just like this. Whenever we see this note, it means we play for 1 beat. Here are 4 quarter notes written on the staff. Together, these 4 quarter notes add up to 1 measure, just like 4 quarters add up to $1. So how do we count this, or how do we play this? How is it supposed to sound? Each beat is steady and counted evenly. I'm going to count through it and clap to play for each quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy, right? Now check this out. This weird squiggly line is called a quarter rest. And while the quarter note told us which beats to play on, the quarter rest is going to tell us which beats to remain silent or rest on. So what if I did this? What would that sound like? Let's figure it out. On beat 1 we have a quarter note, so we're going to clap. On beat 2 we have a quarter note also, so we're going to clap. On beat 3 we have a quarter rest, so we're not going to clap. And on beat 4 we have another quarter note, so we're going to clap. So this is what it sounds like all put together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Both the quarter note and the quarter rest are 1 beat long. So when we see a quarter note, we clap for that beat, and when we see a quarter rest, we stay silent for that beat. Let's look at one more example like this. Now what would this measure sound like? Take a second to think about it. So remember, a quarter rest means we're quiet for that beat, and a quarter note means we play that beat. So it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Were you right? Now believe it or not, with what you just learned, you're already ready for your first full page of music. So let's take a look at our first exercise in reading quarter notes. A link to download the PDF for this exercise can be found in the description of this video. So here's what the exercise looks like. Don't let it intimidate you. You know everything you need to know to play it. Take a look at these lines for a second. These are called bar lines. These separate each group of 4 beats and show you where each measure begins and ends. They also make it much easier to keep your place when you're reading a piece of music. It's important to remember that these in no way affect the timing or the sound of what we're playing. The timing going from beat 4 to beat 1 is the same as going between every other beat. I'm going to count and clap through the beginning of this first line so you can hear what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now let's talk about what happens when we get to the end of a line. Just like in English, we jump back to the left to start the next line. Again, the timing is going to stay nice and steady, and there's no change in what we're playing just because we're jumping lines. I'm going to clap and play starting in the last measure all the way to the right of the first line and going on to the second line so you can hear what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and so on down the page. Well, there you have it. You're well on your way to being a drummer, so download that exercise and see if you can play through it. You can play on your lap or you can clap. Just make sure you count out loud while you're doing it and try to keep the timing and the beats nice and steady and even, and I'll see you in the next video.